Welcome. Can you guys hear me today? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Seriously, no sound. My mic shows it bouncing all over the place. It's soft. It's really soft. Is it getting louder now? Is that better? That's better. You can hear me now? Okay, but can you hear me clearly? Is it sound like, can people understand what I'm saying? They're not like straining their ears to hear me? Hi, Denise. Thanks. Yeah, it was very weird yesterday. Okay, so it might be where I have my microphone. Let me see if that helps. How about now? That make it better? Let me see if that helps. Is that better? And okay, we have sound. Woohoo! Yay! Hello, hello, everyone. Hello. How is everyone doing today? It's going to be a fun day. We have so many fun things planned. So we're going to give everybody just a few seconds to join in. I want to welcome you all to the This Calls for Confetti YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to join me while I chat about crafty things, right? I have a lot I want to share with you today. Also, a lot of tips and tricks about using some of the new products we have. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to share this stuff with you all. I am leaning in. When you see me leaning in, is so I can see what people are writing because I'm blind. So you can barely hear me. Is your volume up on your computer? Hi, Walter. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I can run around to the back of the camera and adjust the sound on my transmitter if you think I need to do that. If that'll help, I can run back there and adjust that sound. Karen, can you give me a heads up on how it sounds? Because someone said that it was pretty, they could barely hear me. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started because I know we all have things to do. The weekend is on us and I don't want to keep you all here too long. So of course, I want to welcome you once again to the This Calls for Confetti channel. I'm Lisa. For those of you who are new, welcome. And for those of our Thursday friends that are joining us again, welcome back. We are so happy to have you here. Okay, let me put you guys on pause for just a minute and then I'll do the transmitter. Okay, how is that? That volume went up. We'll get it figured out, but at least we have sound, right? That's a plus compared to yesterday. So I will tell you what happened yesterday. My computer did an update, and when it updated in the privacy settings, I have to allow the OBS that I use for streaming certain, there's certain settings for that. And when my computer updated, it reset. That is better. Okay. It reset those privacy settings. And since I'm new to streaming, my brain did not automatically go to, oh, Lisa, go check the privacy settings. But I finally figured it out and I was like, okay, so now that's imprinted on the noodle. Anytime I have an issue, that'll be the first thing I go look at from now on. So, okay, now that we are up and running and they said the sound is better, we'll go ahead and get started. So again, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me. We're going to be talking about the new release, which I'm sure you all have seen it. I'm so thrilled about this. I'm going to give you the inspiration behind the new release. I'm going to be sharing our new free printable for August. I'm going to be sharing sequin that I just restocked. That is my absolute favorite, especially for the holidays coming up. We're going to talk about that real quick. And then I'm also going to be sharing our August showcase products, which you all know our August showcase products are the products that Carrie and I share in our Thursday lives. And we give you inspiration on how to use these products. And they're always going to be products that are previously released products from our catalog, and we're going to focus on those because I feel like education with our products is very important. So we'll be talking a little bit about those. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to the craft table, and I'm going to share with you the new printable. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Carmen, yes, definitely a learning curve. And if you're not a tech person, you can really feel like a fish out of water doing this. But like I said in my comment on Instagram today, my mama always said I was the I'll show you kid. And if there's a will, there's a way, right? So here we are. Okay, so here is our August free printable. This printable was made for two things. One, to go with the pen and plan, as you can see this here. This lines up with the stencil and the die. You can print it with a toner / laser, this is the same thing, printer, or you can print it with an inkjet printer. If you want to print this with an inkjet printer, put it in the editor, select all, and change it to whatever color you want it to be, because I know not everyone has a laser toner printer. Now, with the laser toner printer, I did want to talk a little bit about that. If you see that when you're printing, you're getting streaks or whatever, you might want to clean the rollers in your printer. The thing with a laser toner printer is that it's almost like pigment ink. It lays down fine, tiny little particles on the top of our paper, and those are heat set. So that becomes, those plastic particles become our adhesive for our foil. So I love being able to print these in either and foil them, or like I said, you can use an inkjet printer and change the colors. You could play around with this whole thing and change the colors of each of these little elements and make it your own thing and print it out and use it on your card. I do want to show you this real quick foiled. Also talk about these sentiments. These sentiments go with our August showcase products. Now, if you want to check out our August showcase products, you can head over to the website and click on, you'll see 4 little blocks underneath that main image there, and one says this month. Click on that this month block. I believe it's the 3rd one from the left, and it's going to take you to our showcase products for the month. And you'll see what we have to offer, and those products are on sale for 25% off. That will be through the month. So I'm going to take a second. I'm going to read through comments and see what. Okay. All right. Good. So let's show you again about the sentiments. I made the sentiments to go with that Autumn Accents die set that we're going to be showcasing this month. You're going to notice like the falling leaves. In that die set, there's a little square that has tiny little leaves. There's a tree branch, and you can create a scene with leaves falling down for the falling, follow the falling leaves. You're going to notice there's some things about like wrapped in autumn magic. Also, the magic is in the air because there's a little witch's hat in that set. And you can actually, it doesn't have to be a Halloween witch's hat. It can be an autumn witch hat, right? It can be whatever you want it to be. But I thought that that magic in there would be a lot of fun. Also, I like leaves, lattes, and a little spells. Because we know we have our coffee lovers. And so I thought we would do something fun for them as well. So this is aimed at the sentiments being used with our August showcase products. And then these are for your pen and plan. Don't forget to check out those blueprints on the website. Those are free to you. It's a resource that you can go to anytime you want to use your pen and plan and you want to use it a little bit different. I've showed you a couple of ways to lay these out once you cut them out with your dies. So be sure that you're using that resource. So let's have a quick look at these because I did go ahead and print and foil, and you can see they foil beautifully when you use a laser printer. Now I have 2 different laser printers. So one is a cheap laser printer I bought for like $99 probably 5 years ago. And it does a great job. And then I have the one that I bought because I would be printing for things that we sell. So our foil and blends are printed in-house, and I wanted an upgraded toner printer so that I knew I was getting the best quality for you guys. And that's what I use to print these and foil them. So you can see how they foil so beautifully. I love foiling. It is my jam. Okay, so that's our free printable. We're done with that. I'm going to set it to the side. The next thing I want to talk to you about is this amazing, this is not new to us. We've had it. This is Aurora Blush. It is a petite confetti. I'm going to open it up and show it to you. And I'm going to tell you why I love this particular confetti for this time of year. One is it's translucent. You can see through it. And it just has this really pretty iridescent look to it. What I love to use it for is projects like this here. And you can see how it picks up the light so perfectly. And it just makes her look like, you know, her witch's brew has been brewing and she has all the things floating up around her. I just love the way this looks. But it's also great in shaker cards. And then you can still see your die cut piece through that. You can also see the cardstock through it as well. So I wanted to share with you guys, this is restocked and available. And it's my absolute favorite. I feel like Out of all the confetti we carry, this is the one I go to more than anything else. Okay. And in this house, you can't open confetti without spilling it. So we're just going to push that right to the side and pick it up later. All right, I want to run over real quick our August products with you. These are our showcase products. This is the Autumn Accents die set. And remember I said you had the leaves and then we have the branch, the witch's hat. This is the band for the hat, and that's the little buckle that goes on the band. And when you're working with this, the band runs from here to right in this area here. So it's a swooping band. And when you die cut that, you'll see it. Then we have the pumpkin that cuts out, and we have a silhouette that you can take these die cut pieces and build onto this to create dimension. Now, last year I did a card with this, and I used the black cutouts from the candy bucket to actually make these jack-o'-lanterns and make a silly little kooky spooky card with that. So there's a lot that you can do with this, and remember to get that candy bucket out and use it, the die cut face pieces, with this pumpkin, because it makes a super cute little pumpkin. Okay, so then our next August showcase at Fancy Frames. I love this. It's such a great set. Now, I have a card I'm going to show you today using Fancy Frames with our new product, and I did some partial die cutting so that my card, I could use this on a 5x7 card. Now, I've become obsessed with 5x7 cards recently, and you might start to see some products coming in that are 5x7. And we have our Lattice Lux foil plate. I love this plate. And then, of course, because we included the Lattice Lux foil plate, I had to include the Lattice Line stencil, which works with the Lattice Lux foil plate. Now remember, these 4 products are 25% off all of August. Okay, so that's going to bring us to our new release. I'm so excited for it. All right, I'm going to introduce you to Pumpkin Sonata. This is our Pumpkin Sonata collection. This is Pumpkin Sonata number 1. These images are large because this is a 6x8 stamp set. This image is 3 inches wide at the widest point and about 4 3/4 inches high. So you can use it on an A2, but you can also use it on larger cards. You're going to see samples of that in just a few moments. Now you're going to see a version of this again in a new to us product I'm going to show you in just a few seconds, but I wanted to include this in here for those of you who are, not crazy about foiling or letterpress or anything like that. Then you would still have the option to work with this as well. And you're going to notice all the sentiments are focused around music and autumn. So how did I land on music and autumn? I have a playlist. I'm showing my weird, okay? I have a playlist of vintage autumn music that I absolutely love. And about this time every year, I put those playlists onto my YouTube music, and I play them when I'm in my room crafting, when I'm home by myself. That music is playing. I absolutely love it. It's music from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It is just my vibe. I love it. I feel like that music, when it's playing, it lingers in the air, right? And that's where these music notes came into play for me, was that lingering in the air of those notes. And then to me, autumn doesn't have to be about rustic barns and hay bales, right? It can be about an elegant pumpkins and florals. It doesn't always have to be pickup trucks and rustic barns. There's nothing wrong with that. It has its place in our craft room. But this does too. And I feel like this is me wrapped up in a stamp set right here. So I am so excited for this. This is art that I worked on, and let me tell you, it was something else, but I love the way it turned out. It was just, I had a lot of fun creating this stamp set. So the sentiments in this, Pumpkin Sonata #1, and then we also have the last song before winter, Autumn Plays On, Counting Every Blessing, Autumn's Sweetest Song, Thankful Beyond Measure, Where Memories Still Sing. And I'm going to tell you a little story behind this sentiment here, if I don't cry first. May the sweet music of autumn fill your heart with gratitude and your home with warmth. This is meant for the inside of your card, but most certainly can be used on the outside of the card. We also gave you 3 separate little music notes so that you could do any kind of random stamping that you wanted to with those. I want you to notice how this stacked pumpkin is laid out and how you have this open spot right here. You're gonna find that when you're using this, your sentiment lands there perfectly every time. It is every time I've made a card using this, my sentiment has ended up right here. It just works. It just works. So let's talk about this, Where Memories Still Sing. As if any of you have purchased our Autumn Memories from the Alice's Storyline, you'll know my mom's love of autumn. She loved to go see the changing of the leaves and she just loved everything about it. And it's this time of year that we're coming into can sometimes be a little bit hard because I got my love of autumn from her. And so Where Memories Still Sing is a little nod to my mom because a lot of our memories are wrapped up in this time of the year. So I wanted to include that for her. She would absolutely love this. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. Okay, so we do have a coordinating die set to go with it. We have a die for everything in the set. We've also included our quick color stencils. So you have 5 quick color stencils. You saw me using those in the little preview that I did. And I did these so that you could color the pumpkins different colors if you wanted to, or you can do them all the same. I'm going to show you these in action. So you'll see how easy it is to color this pumpkin image, because some of us love coloring with our watercolors, our alcohol markers, and other mediums. Some of us are not into all of the coloring, right? Some of us want to add some ink to it and get on with it. I totally get that. And that's why I love the quick color stencils. It allows you to ink blend your colors and then get on with making the card, right? But if you do like to color, this is a beautiful image to color. So, all right, moving on from our Pumpkin Sonata, where actually I'm going to reach over, turn on my hot foil machine. We're going to have a look at a new to us letterpress plates. So a press and foil plate. And this is a much larger version of the lingering notes you saw in the stamp set, but you can see that little bit here is close to what's in the stamp set, but the one in the stamp set is a smaller version than this is. This is big. It is great for 5x7 cards, but you most certainly can use it on A2 cards. And it is so fun to ink up and use, not only for fall cards, but I've used it for Halloween. I can see it being used for birthday cards, anniversary cards, weddings, so many things that you can use this plate for. I cannot wait to use it with our Celebrate stamp set with balloons for a birthday card. It's going to be a lot of fun. Christmas is coming up. Expect to see some products for Christmas that go with this plate. I just absolutely love it. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks. I'm not going to stay too long on this right now so that I can show you some tips and tricks foiling and using ink with this. Okay, so now let's move on to 2 products that I am so excited for, because we've had some people asking for some things like this. Because this goes with a product that we've had in our catalog since the beginning of time. This is our Chatty cover plate die. Now, when you cut out the Chatty cover plate, it gives you all these speech bubbles, but it also leaves you with this fun piece here that you can create shakers with. You can use this for so many different things, making a fun card. There are samples on our site that will show you how I've used it several different ways. So we also have a stencil that you can get to go with this, and you can ink blend these in, and then you'll be able to stamp and then die cut them out. Okay, so this is our fall chatter and our Halloween chatter. Now, these are so fun. When you stamp these, this here inside these registration marks, that's one stamp. And you're going to stamp it all at one time. And then your plate's going to line up inside these registration marks, and it's going to cut it out. The complimentary sentiments up here, these are individual sentiments that you can stamp one at a time when you need them, because sometimes I only need just like maybe just one of these, so I'll just grab it, stamp it, and it just makes it a little bit easier. But this is, I cannot wait to create more stamp sets like this, where it allows you to use an old product and get a lot of use out of it, really. I've already actually stamped this part of the Halloween chatter, and we're going to die cut it out so I can show you how to use it. So those are our new products for this month. We do have products coming for next month, and we have quite a few more for next month than we do this month. So I can't wait to share those with you as well. And you're going to notice that we keep going back into our catalog saying, how can we breathe new life into this product? What can we do with this product to, I don't want you to buy a die, use it a couple of times, and then it gets pushed to the back of the drawer. I want you to buy a die from us and get to pull it out continually throughout the years and get your money's worth out of it. So you're going to notice when we release stuff, we are going to be giving you add-ons to old products, and just allowing you to get the most out of all of your products. So real quick, I want to also let you know, these are not in the shop yet, but they are coming. These are the nano spinners. We'll be adding those later today, but you've seen these. I created this card here, and they're so fun. I mean, I really didn't think I was going to be that crazy about him, but as soon as I put him on that thing, I was like, are you kidding me? This is just too fun, right? So these will be added to the shop later today. Now, before we get into any demonstrations, I want to show you some quick samples that I've created using the products. This is the Lingering Notes letterpress foil plate, and I foiled it with some gold foil. And then these leaves are actually from our Autumn Artisan die set. And then the Autumn Plays On is from our Pumpkin Sonata stamp set. So this background that I did here, I just stamped that with a really light ink using the stamp from the Pumpkin Sonata stamp set. But you can see how it just makes a really simple, elegant card. So I'm going to save that one for last. This one here is our Pumpkin Sonata on an A2 card. I stamped this on my card base and then just popped the image up over that. And you see here how the sentiment, it just lands perfectly right there in that open space. Okay, I used the fancy frame dies with this. I also used our diamond trellis embossing folder with it. And again, right there for that sentiment, and it just pops right up there. And you can see I used 3 different color inks here. Here I have a shaped card, and I inked up the lingering notes, and then I die cut the leaves from that Autumn Artisan. Sentiment, let me get my words right. The sentiment is from the Pumpkin Sonata. So my obsession with 5x7 cards. Hello, is she not beautiful? Oh, I just love her. She is just gorgeous. So I used ink on the letterpress plate, and I used different color inks. And I went ahead and did it right over I stamped my pumpkin right over the center of it because I wanted that to show up throughout the pumpkin. And then I ink blended after heat setting with gold embossing powder. I used our fancy frame and partial die cutting to create this and the piece here that's set in. And then, of course, stamped the Pumpkin Sonata #1. And this card was really easy to make. I feel like I need to do a tutorial to show you guys just how easy this is, but I just love the way that this turned out. Now, I'm going to show you how to make real quick before we leave the video or the live. I'm going to show you how to make a top fold 5x7. But apparently, I've become obsessed with finishing the inside of my cards too. So I just cut a piece of white cardstock, embossed the top, embossed the bottom, and added that larger sentiment in the center there. So, and then of course, here we have another version of our ghosties with that lingering notes. I feel like this plays into the Haunted Mansion just a little bit. I probably was inspired by that just a little bit. So I love that the music notes, they do feel like they're just floating through the air. And then we have our little ghosties. These are from the Ghostly Greetings die set that we have. The bats are from the Witching You stamp set. And then you see here, I used sentiments from our Halloween Chatter stamp set and used the chatty die to cut that out. So this one here is my absolute favorite. This is the last sample. You can tell I was very inspired with these products because I made a lot of samples. This one is, to me, just beautiful. I absolutely love everything about this card. I love how clean it is. It's very simple, and it's so easy to make, so easy to make. So I stamped the lingering notes from the stamp set straight onto my card base, stamped, die cut this, did my ink blending, added a sentiment, and that was it. And I'm going to walk you through the ink blending. So we're going to head into that next. I'm going to go ahead and clear my area off here so that we can work with our lingering notes foil plate. I have my hot foil machine here. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. I have some foil here that I think is just about done for. It is, but I'm going to take my scissors. You can use scissors to cut foil. They just have to be good scissors, right? We're going to lay that with that shiny side down. And y'all are going to be like, I can't believe she's doing it that way, but trust me on this. Hammer Mill 100-pound weight cardstock works great for this. All right, we're going to just, the AC's blowing, so I usually don't foil here. We're going to leave it just like this. I'm not even going to put the plates on it yet. I'm going to grab my platinum machine, grab my plates, and we're going to let this heat up real quick. And I'm going to show you what I do to get the best possible results. And I've been doing it this way for years. So I don't want anyone to feel like she's going to make me tear up my machine. Someone yelled at me on my personal YouTube channel a couple of years back about the Better Press when I shared some Halloween cards I made when the Better Press first came out. And they were like, you're going to cause somebody to tear up their machine. No, no, I'm not. All right. So let's go ahead and move it over. And then we're going to lay our plate down. Now here's my trick. I keep a hand on that plate at all times. I get it halfway through, my hand moves to this side, and it holds the plates in place while I'm doing it, and then I can run this back through and not worry about it shifting on me, right? So halfway through, hold the plate down, get a good little arm workout in, back through, and at this time I'm just going to come all the way back through. I'm pinching these plates together to bring them back over here, sliding this back in, and we're going to hope that we got a good result. Voila, we did. And you can see full coverage, no problems whatsoever. Now, here's the one thing. If you end up with any overfoiling, what I found is a simple rub with your finger will take it right off. But that's her foiled up. She is gorgeous, and she foils like a dream every time I do it that way. I love it. Okay, so now that we've used her for foiling, let's show you how I use her with the as a letterpress. First thing I'm going to do is let her cool off real quick. I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to lay this down here. Let her cool off. Okay, so now that we have her, yeah, she's cool enough. Now you can use either the Spellbinders ink pads with it, or you can use VersaFine Clair with this. And I use both. It just depends on the mood, I guess the mood I'm in, honestly. But today we're going to use VersaFine Clair, and I'm going to ink her up. The very first thing I'm going to do is get my platen set up, right? Let me do that. Let me find my half sheet of paper. Again, we're using Hammermill 100-pound cardstock. I also use Nina Avalanche White Classic Crest, 110-pound with this. I do also love the cotton paper that Spellbinders has to offer, but I know that especially nowadays, people are on a budget, and sometimes you need a more price-friendly paper to use. So Hammermill works great, Nina works great. The Spellbinders cotton paper is beautiful paper. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to ink her up, and I do her the same way that I do my foiling. I ink her up. Now, one of the things I want to say about the VersaFine Clair ink, when you're adding this ink on, it's just tapping it down. When you're using a Spellbinders ink pad, you have to tap and twist. So there is a difference there. But I want to make sure that I get her completely covered. So I'm just going over her completely, making sure I'm not missing any areas. The ink adheres to this beautifully. All right, she looks pretty good. Don't want to miss any areas. Okay, so now that I have her ready, I'm going to go ahead and put this down. I'm not going to push down on that. What I'm going to do is bring it in here, push it in, and let the roller push it down. Again, I'm going to hold this down while I run it through, because if you've ever used letterpress, you know sometimes you don't get a great impression right away. And it's hard to go back in and run it back through after you've taken it out and removed the platen and then put it back on. It's hard to know if you're going to get it lined up just right. How many of you have used a letterpress and ended up with it double stamped because you wanted to do it again, but it didn't line up right? Anyone? No, just me? Well, I found for me, if I hold this down, you don't have to press hard on it, just hold it down so it's holding everything in place. When you get it to that halfway point, put your other hand on it and hold it down while you run it through. Then you can run it back through again, and guess what? You don't have to worry about this shifting on you and messing up your print, and you know you're getting a fully printed image, right? So I'm going to pull it out and let go of it. We're not going to push down on it again. We're going to get this stuff set to the side for now. So I lift up and away, and look at that. Pretty good. It's, to me, that has never failed me using it that way. And like I said, I had someone say, oh, you're not supposed to run it through more than once. But my whole thing is, the reason they say don't run it through more than once is because it'll double stamp. It's not that it's going to tear up your machine. If this machine wasn't built to handle thousands of pass-throughs, we wouldn't have these products. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to tear up your machine. It's not going to tear up your letterpress tool, whichever one you're using. But just hold it down while you're running it through, and you'll get this beautiful stamped image. It's so pretty. I absolutely love it. Oh, and we will be having more of these letterpress plates for sure. Oh, you're so welcome. I love sharing tips and tricks. I just think it's fun to share your knowledge, right? Because somebody may be struggling with this and think, why did I buy this? And someone can come along and be like, just try this. And then you're like, oh, wow, now I'm happy with what I got, right? So yeah, I love sharing tips and tricks. Okay, we're going to set her aside, and we're going to talk about using our chatter stamp sets. You can see here, I stamped it out. I used VersaFine Clair inks to stamp it out, and I stamped purple, green, orange, and I didn't stamp the purple, like I didn't ink it up and then stamp it and then clean it. No, I inked up the purple, inked up the green, inked up the orange, stamped it, and I was done. Because the way the stamps, with the sentiments being spread apart, it's really easy to do that. If you have small ink cubes, you could easily stamp these in a bunch of different colors at one time. Okay, so we're going to grab our chatty die, and we're going to talk about it for just a second. Let me get my plates. Here we go. All right. So this is always the top of your chatty die, and you can tell because most of these are pointing down, right? But this one here, you know, is always going to be the top left when you flip it over. You have the registration marks. And look, this one, because of the way I laid the stamp, it inked up and stamped a little wonky. That was me, not the stamp. What you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to line that up within those registration marks. Okay? And I'm not even worried about that because as long as I have this lined up and that lined up, I know I'm going to be good to go. So I'm going to grab, because I'm not using my magnetic Empress, I'm going to grab me a piece here, and I'm just going to hold that there. And we're going to run this through our die machine real quick. And do you know that when you're die cutting, if you just twist this a little bit and don't have this run straight into the roller, it'll die cut much easier. I don't know if people know that. I sometimes like to remind people that if you don't let it run in full straight into that roller, you won't end up with that hard crank that you get sometimes. And you don't have to run it through twice, but I did because I have limited space here between me and the back of the desk. Okay, so let's see what we have here. All right, so our sentiments have cut out. And, oh, I love that. That is so cute with that green and orange. You can just grab your little pokey tool and poke out the rest of these, just like that. Come off of there. All right, so you're left with this. You can trim that off if you need to, but you can see where it doesn't end up. That's from where I had the stamp laid down a little bit wonky on the thing, and it wouldn't be that way if I had laid it down correctly. But you get all these sentiments at one time. But I also love that we gave you all those complimentary sentiments with it that you can use with these, and that's exactly what they're meant for. Let me grab a stamp set and we'll talk about those real quick. Okay, so on this, I have, so for instance, Creeping It Real. Hey, it's how I roll. Stay spooky. You could use It's Halloween. Stay spooky every single day. If you pop over to our website and you go to this product page and you click on the description, it's going to open up the description for you. If you scroll down, it is going to give you a whole slew of different combinations for you to use these together. I tried to take all the guesswork out of it for you and list that in the product description. If it was me, I would take and I would copy and paste those, print them out, and I would put them with my stamp set as a quick reference. Everyone that we do like this, we're trying to make sure that we get the different combinations that you can use these with. So far we have the fall chatter. It's the same way. It has those combinations listed in the description. You have to open up that description though in order to see all of that information. So far we have the fall chatter and the Halloween chatter. And like I said, copy and paste those sentiments, those combos out of the description and put that with your stamp set in your stamp pocket. and you'll be set to go. You won't have to keep going back to the website and saying, oh, which one do I want? How does this work with that? Or, you know, so yeah, there are a lot of complimentary sentiments in here. This is a 5x8 stamp set, by the way, and you can see there are a lot of complimentary sentiments in this set and in the fall chatter, and all of our chatter sets will be set up this way. And yes, we have plans to do one with like emojis and stuff like that as well. So now that I've showed you how to do that, let's real quick, because like I said, I don't even know how long have we been here. What's my time running on this thing? All right, let's talk about the Pumpkin Sonata. I did a lot of prep work to move us along. I've stamped the Pumpkin Sonata, and I wanted to show you guys how you can use a small die cutting machine to cut these out. You don't need a big one. This is the Spellbinder Scout that I'm using here. And we're going to just go ahead and die cut this out if, haha, there it is. All right, I can find another plate. So let's cut her out. Now this is the Nina Avalanche White Classic Crest Nina. It's 110-pound cardstock, and I stamped this with VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. And I did stamp this yesterday morning, so it's had plenty of dry time. So you can see how easily that cuts out using a small die cutting machine. So you don't have to have a large machine for this, which is always good. So let's real quick now, let's talk about these stencils and ink blending, because I have some tips I'm going to share with y'all for ink blending. I'm going to lay that down on my sticky mat. I am quickly going to try to find, how do things get lost? That's my next question. Just how do they disappear? There they are. All right, we have our stencils. So on the stencils, you're going to notice that it has engraved words in there. So we have this one, it says blooms, that's for your flowers. We have this one that says leaves, that's going to do all your leaves. These are all the little berries. This is your pumpkin stem, and then it tells you here, this is your middle pumpkin. So let me find my last one. Where did it go? There, she's hiding from me over here. Okay, sorry about that. This is the top pumpkin and this is the bottom pumpkin, and you can see that very clearly. These line up so easy. So all you're going to do is line it up just like this, right over your stamped die cut piece or your cardstock. I cover up there because y'all, I get a little crazy when I ink blend. I get into it and I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, and then next thing you know, I've got ink somewhere it doesn't need to be. Okay, so let's talk about some ink blending colors for these pumpkins. I'm using Simon Says stamp inks, and we're going to start with clay because I want to show you guys some tricks. So how many of you have always seen people ink blending swirling? Everybody does the swirl, right? I want to introduce you to something different. What if you didn't do the swirl? What if you looked at your image and you went with the flow of the image? So what I mean is, instead of laying this down and going to town like this, what if we swipe? So we start by swiping upward over here because I want it to be darker here. This is a great way to add a lot of dimension and keep this center area a lighter color. And then over here, I also want a lot of, I want it to be darker here because I feel like there would be shadows there, right? So we're going to swipe up into our image instead of doing the circling. Everything has a place. I'm going to show you when circling is a good idea. And then I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to swipe down into my image. Notice how that's staying white the whole time? And I'm just following the curves of the lines when I'm doing this. I'm pulling it down into it, brushing it on, just like that. So then with the ink that's left on my brush, we'll start to pull some ink down into this area and up to keep this the lightest part. We're then going to come in with nutmeg. I'm using the same brush because these are the same color family. And I'm going to start to darken up. Now you're going to notice I'm not pulling down as far. I'm only going about halfway. And it's only darkening up along the edges there. And that's exactly what we want. Now watch where I do these flowers here. So because of the way the stencil has these edges for the floral design, for the bloom, the brush hits certain areas and darkens certain areas while it leaves other areas a little bit lighter. So instead of thinking as your blender brush as just a blending tool, think of it as another tool to color with. And by doing that, you're going to get some really good colors on this pumpkin, some good dimension with the blending. And it's just, I love the result I get when I do this. Now, I will come back in before I'm done and I will darken up that center just a little bit so that there's not too much contrast there. A little bit, but not too much. And we're not quite done with this yet. All right. Because we're going to bring one more color in. And this is where you're going to be like, oh, that's scary. It's not scary, I promise. Now, you're going to notice when I'm using this allspice color, when I go to add ink to my brush, depending on what side of the stencil I'm working on will depend on what side of the ink pad I go to. So when I'm on this side, I only want to ink up half of this brush. So I'm coming in and dabbing it just half. See how, can you see that? That just half of the brush is loaded? And I'm going to take that part and I'm going to now introduce the swirl blend, right? Because I want to keep it just on this outer edge here. Again, just adding this. Now, you might not be into ink blending like I am. I absolutely love ink blending, as you can tell. If this is not your thing, get you a brush and just ink blend it till your heart is content because it's yours. You do with it how you want. I'm just showing you some tips and tricks here that will give you some really fun results, right? See the difference in this side and that side? So now this time I'm just coming to this side, picking up my ink, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do that swirly blend right on the very edge. And that's going to darken up those edges so they look farther away from us. Then we're going to come into the top and we're going to just pull down ever so slightly because we want that to look like it's set farther back as well. And then we're going to pull up on these above these blooms and a little down here around this bottom as well. Now, because we're using dye inks, you need to let these inks get happy in their situation. They need to soak into the paper. They need to just give them a little bit of time and it will smooth out if it's looking a little bit rough to you. But just give them time. They just have to get happy. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off while I have it laying down because it's just easier. And then I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to show you how that looks. So that's the ink blending there. So once you do that, you can do this, okay? So I do the flowers the same way. When I lay this down on here, and you'll see this lines up so easy, look at that. I do the same thing. I pull the brush onto the petals and that creates a darker tip and leaving this a little bit lighter. And then if you want to come in with a different color and add there in the center, you can do that. But I really want to see, I would like to see people learn that you can do so much more with your blender brushes other than just inking them up and swirling them on your paper. You can create a lot of dimension with your blender brushes just by swiping them and following the lines on your image. Okay, so now that I've given you some tips for this ink blending, I want to actually do a card with you real quick if you guys are up for that. Are you up for that? Or if not, we can cut it short here and call it a day. But I've got everything prepped for the card. If you want to hang around, that's great. If not, I completely understand. But I do have everything ready here for the card. So it shouldn't take very long to do this. So the reason I want to do a card with you today is because I want you to see how you can take this from fall and make a really elegant Halloween card with it. So let's talk about all the things. The first thing we need to do is cut this down to size. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. Somewhere over here I should have and I'm just going to kind of guess at this as I'm cutting it down. I run my finger across here to see where it's landing. There we go. That looks good. And I'll probably have to come back in and trim just a little bit of it off. We'll see. Okay. I thought I had, yep, I do right here. Yes. Okay. So remember us talking about the 5x7 card bases and that I wanted to show you how you can create one that stands up instead of opens up like this. I'm not a fan of cards that open from the side like that. I don't know what it is. I really like a top opening card. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock and I've cut two pieces from it. This is a 5x7 and this one yes, you can absolutely leave. There is no judgment from us because it's probably running long, but you can leave and you can catch this on replay if you need to. Yep, that's right. No judgment. Okay, so we have our cardstock that's cut from 8.5 by 11. We have a piece that is 5x7. And then we have a piece that is 5x7.5. And we've scored it at the 1/2 inch mark. I'm going to just take my scissors and cut these corners off. And they don't have to be perfect, okay? Because you're not going to see that once we're done. We're going to flip this over, grab our glue. We're going to go ahead and add our glue down. We're going to line this up making sure we have the sides straight. All right, that looks pretty good to me. I've run my finger over it a couple of times, give it a good press between the fingers there, just like that, to make sure. And I've just created my card base, but I'm going to add a piece of cardstock to this on the inside. So what I did was I like to cover this piece up. So I always make sure this piece is pointing towards me, and then I'm going to come in and add a piece of white cardstock. Now you don't need to add this right now, but I do want to show you that that's going to cover that up. What I usually like to do is go ahead and do any stamping, embossing, whatever it is I'm going to do to decorate the inside of this. I go ahead and do it before I adhere it down. But I wanted you to see that you take this to cover that flap up, and then no one sees that, and you have a nice, neat, finished card to the inside, right? Now we know this is going to go on the front, and it looks like I actually cut it pretty decently, so that's amazing in itself. Now when you're making these, let me give you a real quick tip. If for some reason, like all card bases, it doesn't line up perfectly, paper trimmer is your best friend. Just come in, chop those edges off, and now it's nice and straight. You just take the tiniest little bit off of it, and we're ready to add this to our card base. So easy. So this is the VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink used with the Lingering Notes press and foil plate. I love this plate. It is so pretty, and I feel like it's unique. Okay, so now that we have that, we have our inked up pumpkin. I have some webs that I cut from our Wicked Webs die set, and I went ahead and cut extra pumpkin stacks out. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these. We're going to glue these together real quick. Two of them together, set those aside. And then we're going to do this with the one that's ink blended. I'm back. Do you hear me now? There we go. Nope, I'm back. Woohoo! Can you hear me now? Can you hear? You can? Okay, cool. I've got to see how I can get that transmitter to not shut off on its Okay, so I think it needs to get charged. We're back up. Yep, we're back up. Okay, so I'm going to flip over so we can go ahead and close out because that thing I think needs to get charged. And I know you guys have things to do and I have things to do. So let me flip over real quick. Okay, here we are. All right, so I hope that you guys enjoyed the live today. And yeah, thanks. Um, I hope you enjoyed the live. I love doing these, and I think the more we do them, the less troubles we'll have. Woohoo! Yay for that, right? Yay for learning. Thank you, Karen, for saying the card's beautiful. I love the way this card turned out. It's just amazing to me. So if you